In the last decade, drag racing has grown with the breakneck pace of a top fuel dragster, because during the previous 10 years, 7 new venues took place on NHRA's Winston calendar. These facilities cover the countryside, from the super track in Houston suburbs to Seattle's cozy nest in the shadow of Mount Rainier, to Richmond's pastoral home in the historic Virginia countryside. Topeka's towering presence rises amidst the fields of the heartland, while Sears Point's domain is the rugged wine country of California's Napa Valley. You know, 2 tracks have emerged along the mighty Mississippi. Memphis in the land of the blues, while further north near St. Louis is 1997's edition, the appropriately named Gateway International Raceway. This weekend marks the arrival of an 8th new track to the NHRA fold, Route 66 Raceway, which over the last 10 months has sprouted up in the Chicago suburb of Joliet. Long star for motorsports in general and NHRA drag racing in particular, Chicagoland fans are celebrating. A magnificent effort by track owner Dale Coyne has taken a barren field and turned it into one of the most impressive racetracks in the world. And what better way to debut this stunning motorsports accomplishment than with the inaugural running of the Fram Route 66 Nationals here on the Nashville Network.
It's hard to describe unless you're actually here. And of course, then if you were here, I wouldn't actually be describing it to you. But this Route 66 Raceway is just simply, in a word, unbelievable. And it's the host for the Fram Nationals, the Fram Route 66 Nationals here in Joliet, Illinois. We're just outside of Chicago. This is a great racetrack, and the race in funny car this year has been great too. For more on that, here's Steve Evans.
With an astounding 323.89 mile-per-hour speed in the funny car final 2 weeks ago in Englishtown, John Force laid claim to the official crown as the fastest man in drag racing. And Force is quick to credit his crew chief Austin Coyle for his stunning performance. For Coyle, a return to the Chicago area must bring back some memories from 3 decades ago when he was the tuning genius behind the traveling thrill show known as the Chi-Town Hustler. Coming into the Windy City, Force has blown away the competition and seized a sizable lead in the Winston Point standings, with the next 5 drivers scrambling for runner-up scraps. Meanwhile, 7th through 10th place are caught up in their own closely fought battle. John Force and crew may have the fastest car in the history of drag racing, but they don't have the quickest funny car. And in the style of the old Chicagoland US 30 radio commercials, if John is going to be there on this Sunday, the top 3 are going to have to fall. And that includes Cruz Pedregon, another blistering 488 for the number 1 spot. If the cruiser can control his starting line enthusiasm, that is the car to beat. Then there is Tim Wilkerson. How much time is going to go by before the John Costanza team gets their first ever win? Not much. It might even be today. And then there's Ron Capps and Don Prudhomme Z28 Camaro, qualified number 3, a 2-time winner this year, always around to pick up the pieces. Have a nice day, John.
One of the Chicago area's best-known fictional characters is Joliet Jake of the Blues Brothers. But this weekend, he may be replaced by Pro Stock's Joliet Jag of the Coughlin Brothers. The 27-year-old Coughlin has only competed in 11 Pro Stock events during his brief professional career. Yet he already has 2 wins in 3 career final rounds. His recent triumph at Englishtown has propelled him to 3rd in the Winston Point standings, hot on the heels of Jim Yates and chipping away at leader Warren Johnson. And don't forget, Jeggy took out both of those drivers in consecutive rounds in New Jersey, so the yellow car may have everyone else singing the blues before too long. And if you walk by the Coughlin pit, you just might hear the crew whistling a tune while they tune. They have good reason to be optimistic, with Jake belting out his best 2 weeks ago at Englishtown. Jim Yates, on a sour note, has not qualified for the 2nd time this year, in sharp contrast to Warren Johnson hitting a high note with his first-place qualification for the 5th time this year. He's followed by Bruce Allen in 2nd place, who was a surprise as he was expected to struggle, having not made the field twice in the last 3 events.
A little over a month ago, Joe Amato was languishing in 5th place in NHRA's Winston Point standings. But since then, he has become the terror of Top Fuel. 2 wins and 1 runner-up have propelled the 5-time champion onto the tail of early pace setter Corey McLenithan in the Winston Points chase. But a wild card in the deck may be third place Gary Scelzi. Gary is now back in the cockpit of last year's championship-winning chassis. Both he and tuner Alan Johnson are hoping to put the last 8 races behind them. To do that, Team Winston will have to come from the 7th qualifying position. Corey Mack, the point sitter, is qualified 4th. Everybody chasing Joe Amato. Go figure, huh? They're 4:55, good enough for the number 1 qualifying spot. For the 4th time this season, they'll go after their 3rd win. David Grubnick, the upstart Australian, is in the number 2 qualified spot with a solid 4:62. And then there's Eddie Hill. If consistency is a key here today, then watch out for the thrill. 4 runs consecutively in the 460s. He's actually got 5 dating back to Englishtown. And finally, kudos to the whole Route 66 Raceway staff for providing a racetrack that has yielded the quickest Top Fuel field in history. Now let's go upstairs and meet the guy who'll be calling all our action today, Bob Fry.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Steve. Thanks, everybody. And hi, I am Bob Fry, and we've got 2 hours of great racing action for you right here on TNN Motorsports. And we're going to take a look at some of the stuff that went on in Top Fuel in just a little bit. But I'll tell you, there is a lot of stuff up for grabs here this weekend, and most of that stuff is cash, and a lot of it. We're talking almost $1,500,000 large, including over $600,000 cash. A lot of contingencies on the NHRA Winston Tour. All adds up to a lot of money up for grabs here at the inaugural Fram Route 66 Nationals. And the folks here at this racetrack have just enjoyed a couple of great days of racing and weather. Let's take a look at how they qualified in Top Fuel. You know that it's Joe at number 1. Dave Grubnick could be the surprise of the weekend, while Top Speed was turned in by Kenny Bernstein. It's an interesting group, including Doug Koletev, Schumacher, Romine, and Sarver. 4 guys in the bottom half of the field, all looking to win their first ever race. So the pairings will include Joe against Kristen Powell. Kenny would love to win one. That's a round, not a race, and Corey hopes to pad his lead. On the flip side, it's the Montana Express against Ms. Anderson. Scelzi needs to start winning if he wants to close the gap, and keep your eye on Eddie Hill. It's his best showing in quite some time in a very quick field. Laura Burr's got a preview of one of the guys we're going to see in Top Fuel.
Tony Schumacher is in his hometown of Chicago on a mission from God to beat Corey Mack in the first round. He's been side by side with Corey before. In 1996, a week after he got his license, Corey beat him in the final round. And again last year at Denver, Corey beat him in the final round again. But this year, he's got extra support from the Blues Brothers car and the hometown fans who claim not only will they watch him win, but they're here to serve and protect him.
The Blues Brothers are back on the side of this race car, as well as Randy Anderson's in the funny car category. Corey McLenithan, the number 5 qualifier, against Tony Schumacher. This was back in round 1. Say goodbye to your points leader. Early exit for Corey Mack, a big and emotional win for Tony Schumacher.
We could hear Tony hooting and hollering coming around the turn. A win for the homeboy.
That was fantastic, man. Especially with the Blues mobile here, you know. Chicago, Joliet, first race here, being from the hometown. All my friends are here. That couldn't have happened at a better day. This is great. Corey Mack's had me 3 or 4 times, 2 finals. I mean, he got me in my first race at Indy. He got me in another final, you know. And
well, you just got him, buddy.
God, I owed him.
Yes.
Isn't that a really neat fire suit that he had on? Shelly Anderson and David Grubnick. This is the Montana Express. He went to the finals at Gainesville earlier this season. Qualified brilliantly here in the number 2 spot. Shelly Anderson gets the win. It's a resurgent Shelly Anderson, 4.78 seconds as she gets the win and advances into the second round. So the number 2 qualifier and the points leader both gone in round 1. On board with the Parts America Texaco Haviland car with that perky Shelly Anderson at the wheel.
Little surprised that Grubnick gave you that lane?
His crew chief switched at the last minute and gave us a left, and I kind of think the right lane's been loose all weekend. You know, everybody's going towards the center line. I was happy with his choice.
Lane choice. That's something that Bruce Sarver did not get in the opening round. His crew chief, Bobby Brand, who's been picking lanes for a long while, especially here in the Chicago area, did it with the Snake back in the 70s. They got Eddie Hill in round 1. I say they got Eddie Hill in round one, that's exactly what I mean. A stunning first-round upset. Bruce Sarver goes into round number 2.
The Bakersfield Bullet, a 467 when almost nobody can go down the racetrack.
Man, I can't believe it. We've been struggling since Gainesville. We lost our famous 315 Supercharger, and we've been struggling ever since. But the guys, we were down last night, and I didn't feel good this morning, but man, do I feel good now. Thanks, everybody.
Well, you're welcome. And in addition to those runs, Gary Scelzi advanced, and we're going to take a look in that next round. It'll be Shelly Anderson advancing against Gary Scelzi. We also saw some wins in that first round by Paul Romine, and it was a very interesting matchups that we saw in that first round of competition. We got David Reeves standing by with the aforementioned Paul Romine.
Bob, as you can see from our camera 6 angle, the 4th of July came just a little bit early. First Dixon, then Romine. It all started when Romine lost a cylinder, which loaded the next one in line, and before you know it, you're kicking rods, spewing out oil, and that's what leads to the big fire. So as you can imagine, it's a pretty tense situation over here in Romine's pit. Not just because they've got to get another motor in this car, but more so because this is their last motor. We know that Paul Romine can run with the big dogs. He went to the finals with KB back at the Winston Invite, but he's still searching for his first NHRA win. If it's going to come today, he's going to have to ride this bullet all the way.
One of the winners in the opening round was Shelly Anderson. And folks, if you watch our TNN telecast here regularly, you know that I normally sport some kind of a tie that has something to do with the racetrack or the geographic area we're in. This one is really special. This tie was designed by Shelly Anderson. Benefits for these ties that are sold at Sears go to Gilda's Club, an organization dedicated to helping folks with cancer.
TNN's exclusive coverage of the inaugural Fram Route 66 Nationals is brought to you by Mopar, Chrysler Corporation Parts, and the Chrysler, Plymouth, Dodge, Jeep, and Eagle dealers who sell and install them.
What a magnificent shot that is of the crowd packed in here for the inaugural running of the Fram Route 66 Nationals. And the Budweiser airship overhead taking some of these great shots. And the fans here over the last couple of days have been extremely knowledgeable, hanging in there for all of the racing from the lowest categories right up to the top fuel categories. Let's take a look at how they qualified in Funny Car. Cruise number 1 again. Force only number 4. Runner-up at E-Town. Jim Epler continues to do well. Second half will feature a driver who is dressed like the Blues Brothers. That's Randy Anderson, and one who reads or is featured in the Mad Magazine, and that's Jerry Tolliver. Freddie Neely just did get in at a 5:20. So Freddie Neely will be the first one to try on Cruise. Forrest, who employs one Pedregon, will try to beat another. Over there on the B side, among others, watch out for Chuck Etchell's Chevy and Whit Basemore's Ford. They both look very good here this weekend. Go back and take a look at some of that round number 1 action in the Funny Car category here at the Route 66 Nationals. Fran, Route 66 Nationals. There it is, the Mad Magazine car. Drivers' chances are slimmer than they appear. That's what it says on the side. I don't write them, I just read them. Tim Wilkerson from down the road in Springfield, the John Costanza Institute of Technology car. Would love to win one here, as Steve said in the opening. Says what? Me worry? I put a 1/10 of a second or almost a 1/10 on him out of the starting line. My 5:36 beat his 5:29.
The madman himself gets his first ever Nitro Funny Car win light. Tolliver, you won it on a hole shot, you dog.
Hey, let me tell you, Steve, I've been wanting to talk to you for so long. That's fantastic. That's what a great feeling. I mean, a great track like this, these Chicago people have been great fans. Hey, what can I say except I am so happy to be here. I'm so happy the Mad got behind us, and Warner Brothers and DC Comics, all my friends at Prolong. I mean, we're doing a fantastic job. My guys deserve this. Thanks.
You're welcome.
He looks like Alfred E. Newman. Of course, that's my own opinion. Let's go to Laura Bird in the pit area with an interesting story about the Cruiser.
Cruz Pedregon should be sitting on top of the point standings with qualifying first place in 7 of 10 races. But he's third and he's only won twice. So Dave Hutchins has been brought on as a driving coach. Dave, obviously power is not the problem. What are you focusing on with Cruz?
We're just focusing on the basics, trying to get Cruz to slow his head down and get focused. The main thing here is just to get him focused and get discipline in your head.
So it's about reaction time.
Definitely about reaction time.
Dave Hutchins been involved with the sport for about 30 years. Used to be involved with that Wayne County Speed Shop folk in the heyday of the Dodge Boys. He couldn't even help Cruz Pedregon in the opening round. Watch this. The interstate batter's machine smoking the tires and lifting the front end. That's not supposed to happen.
Well, Cruz Pedregon, these cars weren't meant to fly.
No, they really weren't. I was trying to feather it when I always planned if I do a wheel stand, pedal it when you go down, it's for a soft landing, but there was no doing that because I had no idea where I was. I didn't know if I was straight up and down or where, but the good thing is we didn't get disqualified, hit the wall or anything, but we'll get it fixed.
Some front end damage. It is fixable.
They've got a lot of folks working on that race car. John Force coming off that mind-numbing performance in Englishtown, qualified at 495 with the Castrol Ford. He's got Cruz's brother, Frank Pedregon, Big Jim Dunn's Johnny Lightning car in the opening round matchup. Looks like a hammer job, but looks can be deceiving. John was out there, smoked the tires, and he is out of here.
Just too much steam, John?
Yeah, just kind of one of them things. It got down there, it was trucking real good. I thought I was okay, and I didn't see him. I left on him. I didn't see him for a while, and then I went up and smoked, and I tried to get out of it and back because I didn't want to lose the race right there by getting over the center line. And right when I got back into it, he come around me.
Doesn't make any difference when he comes around you. It's the where. The finish line is the part. You don't want anybody coming around you. The Matco Tools Special, Dean Scusa, a resurgent Whit Bazemore, running with Team Winston. Resurgent, Bazemore throws a 5 flat up on the scoreboard in the opening round. This is the time of the year he got hot in 1997. Take a look at the ladder in the next round. If Cruz gets it fixed, he'll get Dale Worsh and Frankie Pedregon against the Easy Care car of Jimmy Epler. And it's going to be the Mad Magazine car against the Chevy of Chuck Etchel's. Caps goes against Whit Bazemore. Good Ford Chevy matchup. So let's go in the pit area for an update with Laura Bird.
Frank Pedregon, the newest by experience but oldest by age member of the Pedregon family of racers, is slaying giants. Frank, you beat your brother Cruz at Dallas when you were qualified 16th, and you just beat John Force when you're qualified 13th. What's your secret?
Really no secret at all. We just get pumped up. Jim Dunn gets pumped up. And racing any of those guys gets me really pumped up, especially John. Now I want to race Tony next.
Not easily intimidated?
None whatsoever.
Bring on those bad boys. It doesn't make any difference, Frank. You'll pick them up and knock them down. Don't forget, Saturday you'll see for the first time on TNN the Pep Boys Indy Racing League. High speeds on the high banks. The True Value 500K from the Texas Motor Speedway. Check it out Saturday night, 9 Eastern, right here on TNN Motorsports. Look, they already got those 323 shirts printed for John Force. Shh, quiet. Let's not wake the baby. Little did you know that may not really come as much of a surprise. Warren Johnson hot at inaugural races. Heck, he still hasn't lost at Richmond. That's been 4 years now. Loved it at Dallas and whooped them all at Madison, Illinois, where we're going to be headed for the 98 race in just a couple of weeks. Maybe some of these folks will join us. A beautiful, bright, balmy day here at the Fram Route 66 Nationals. Here on TNN Motorsports, here's the way they qualified. Pro Stock WJ for the 92nd time is number 1. The number 2, 3, and 4 guys have to be pleased with their performance. Kurt Johnson rounds out the top half of the field. And then you will notice as you look at 9 through 16, Jim Yates, Mike Edwards, not there. They could not run quicker than John Nobile's bump of 7:03. WJ and KJ on the same side of the ladder. That could be interesting. On the flip side, we got a lot of hungry drivers like Allen and Schmidt. And, well, everyone on that side's hungry. They all want to win. Let's take a look at what went on in round number 1 of Pro Stock earlier today. Tom Martino out of Six Flags and out of New Jersey, going off against Jay Coughlin, one of the guys that's thinking Winston Championship here in 98. Shake with the onboard camera. Maybe that shake's the reason why he lost to Martino 7:10 to a 7:11. Wow.
Jackie, identical reaction times. What happened with this car? It was really favored to win that.
Yeah, I tell you what, we had it prepared pretty strong. I had the misfortune, we shift these things off of a shift light, and unfortunately something went out there and it didn't work after we left the starting line, and I ran a little too far in third gear, unfortunately, and that's all it took,
One little light bulb.
Adding insult to injury, of course, the fact that Yates failed to qualify. Jaggy could have moved up. Maybe you can get one of those light bulbs from the Jags mail order catalog. On board with the Darrell Alderman Dodge Boy. Here's the Summit racing machine, and equal time. I'll bet you they got those bulbs too at Summit. On board with the Mopar, you see the Cowboys slowly fade in the west or the north or wherever that way is. Anyway, he's headed back and headed to round 2.
Woo! You know, Steve, we ran really good Friday night. Struggled a little bit yesterday, but for all the guys at the shop that have really been working their butts off, and for the guys on the road, man, our Summit Racing Pontiac on its way back.
Is there a better lane of the two?
We like the left lane. It seems a little smoother for our car, and I think it's a little, maybe a little bit more stickier right now, and our car sure likes going down it.
Stickier is what you need.
Woo! Summit!
Especially more stickier. David Reef's got more pro stockers. David?
For the second time in as many national events, Greg Anderson has qualified for a race. 2 weeks ago in Englishtown, he also got his first round win when he beat Mike Thomas on a hole shot. Well, today with Jim Yates, DNQ, Jerry Bickle is coming over to help Troy Humphries as he gets set to race Mike Thomas again in round number 1. What will it be for Greg Anderson? Double your fun or done in round 1? Let's find out right now.
The Pennzoil machine, Mike Thomas. They're building engines for several of the teams in this program, in addition to his own and Mark Osborne's. And I'll tell you what, this Pennzoil car has been running well of late. Thomas at the top end, a little bit too much horsepower. He takes out Greg Anderson. Good effort, 703 Thomas, 710 for Anderson, but he is gone. In addition to the runs we showed you, WJ advanced. He'll take on the Kid, and Troy Coughlin did advance over Scott Jeffreyon. On the flip side of the ladder, the winners included, in addition to Martino, Bruce Allen, the Outlaw, and it will be Thomas and Osborne going at it. Good matchup coming up right there. Update in the pits with Warren. Here's Stevie.
On a blustery day, Warren Johnson had a comparatively easy win in round number 1, a 7-flat victory over John Nobile. That 7-flat was the best elapsed time of the round. But Warren, let me ask you, what about this wind? It is whipping.
Well, the wind, it's not too bad when it's a tailwind, but as you approach the finish line, it starts turning on the track, and it's a crosswind. It's coming from right or from left to right, and the cars in the right-hand lane, it'll tend to get them loose because it'll hit that wall, go over the left lane, and get the cars in the right lane. So if I got lane choice and there's not a real discernible difference as far as track surface is concerned, I'll put the other car in the right.
That will be your son, Kurt. No deals, right?
No deals. Never have been.
And never will be.
Hey, don't forget, for daily helping a racing, romance, and Roscoe P. Coltrane, don't miss the Dukes of Hazzard. See it weekdays at 5 Eastern right here on America's Country Home, TNN. Now, wait a minute. Laura Bird specifically said that these were fictional characters earlier in the show. I know that she said that. Wonder if they're available for my daughter's wedding next year. Hey, guys, I'll call you after the show.
Top Fuel dragsters are an absolute assault on the senses just watching them. The ground quakes, the shock waves send shivers through your body, the nitro nuzzles your nose and eyes, the tire smoke fogs in the starting line. Aren't they great? And round 2's coming up.
TNN's exclusive coverage of the inaugural Fram Route 66 Nationals is brought to you by the more than 1,900 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts.
Welcome back to TNN's coverage of the Fram Route 66 Nationals, and the fans here, the crowd, well, they're going wild. And they went wild when they watched Top Fuel, round number 2, a little bit earlier on in the day. It was going to be Paul Romine against Tony Schumacher. Schumacher in that Blues Brothers outfit, but he had problems on the burnout. He broke, was not able to answer the bell. A free shot. Clayton Harris sends his driver, Paul Romine, in the CarQuest car down the racetrack for a solo run. Did you see that thing shake? Well, you need at least one lucky round. That's the old adage in drag racing. They got a lucky one there as he gets to go into the semifinals and doesn't even have to pack the parachute.
Nobody celebrates winning more than Paul Romine, and you don't much care how it happens.
I'm going to tell you what, I'd rather be lucky than good all day, and that's what we got to be today. We got one motor that's in the car, and we needed that one. We needed that one bad.
Save those parts.
Well, that's all you're allowed to use is one motor in the car there. Just thought I would tell those guys that. On board, Kenny Bernstein's Budweiser King, Louis the Lizard hanging on, saying, hey, you think we can beat the little ferret over in the other lane? Come on, let's go get him, boys. And say goodbye to the road. 471, Kenny Bernstein, the King, his first round wins since Gainesville.
That was some kind of race between two old golfing buddies and good friends, a 71 to 74.
Great race, and like you said, good friends. Besides, I hate race him. He hates to race me because we both hate the Blues.
Was it spinning the tires?
All the way. Yeah, it's going to be that way the rest of the day. It's not going to change. Hats off to Lee and the boys. Made a lot of great adjustments there for it to run 71. Great race. Fans, you got a great racetrack in about a year. It's going to be wonderful.
Here comes Shelly Anderson against Gary Selzy and Team Winston. If Shelly wins, the folks from Parts America, another $500 to Gilda's Club for those ties and all that great stuff to help the folks stricken with cancer. You don't want to root for or against anybody, but there'll be a lot of money for Gilda's folks if Shelly can win. It was not to be as Gary Selzy goes to the semifinals for the 4th race in a row. Team Winston's doing well.
You look at the rest of the numbers in this round, that 68 looks good.
You know, Steve, the driver's a little weak, but my crew chief's doing a great job. Alan, I love him to death. And, you know, it's a crapshoot out here. It's awful hot, and Team Winston's going to semis, and I got him crossed.
Get your confidence back, will you?
Oh, it's coming. It's coming.
Another guy that's been doing very well and gaining confidence this weekend is standing by right now with Dave.
So what do you do if you've had troubles with tire shake early in the season or are having problems keeping your car going straight down the straight line? Well, if you're Bob Vandergriff, the answer is pretty simple. You just go get yourself some new pipe. This new Murph McKinney chassis features new locations for both the driver cockpit as well as the motor to try to get some better performance numbers. It's obviously worked. They were the number 6 qualified car here with a 464. In round number 1, they kept up that string of 460s with a 468. Now as they get set for round number 2, they face Bruce Sarver, another 468 car who incidentally has lane choice by a few thousandths.
We will find out if indeed lane choice is a factor. Bob Brand and Bruce Sarver, Bob Vandergriff and Rick Castle. The combinations here squaring off in round 2. This baby's over early. Look at that. Vandergriff pitches a lower belt after Sarver smokes the tires, and Vandergriff doesn't look like he's getting lane choice, but he's coming back for the semifinals here in Top Fuel Eliminator. So congrats to our winners in that round, and some of the folks over getting a close-up look at some of the cars that may or may not still be in competition. I know, but I can't tell you because that would give it all away. Let's take a look at those semifinal matchups. It'll be Selzy against Vandergriff, and as advertised, Selzy gets lane choice. Bobby V's been running well with the Jersey's car this weekend. And how about Paul Romine and Bernstein, a rematch of the Winston Invitational? In case you've forgotten, Kenny won that one and pocketed $100,000. You know, we're here at Route 66. Remember that old great TV show that starred George Maharis and Martin Milner and the Blues Brothers? Well, I lied about the Blues Brothers. We decided we'd ask a lot of guys if they watched that show, and if not, what was their favorite TV show when they were growing up.
You know, you think you're kidding, but Route 66 was one of my favorites. I mean, can you imagine the life of having a Corvette with a convertible going all over the country, looking at all the beautiful women and having a great time? Absolutely. I watched it all the time. Also, I grew up in Lubbock, Texas, and Amarillo is only 100 miles north, and Route 66 goes right through Amarillo, Texas. So we were quite conditioned to Route 66.
The championship chase. It's coast to coast. Bull runs. Driving the lane. Keeping up the pace. And plenty of fast breaks. No, we're not talking about the NBA here. We're talking NHRA. Funny car.
Although, in the interest of fair reporting, there is a lot of NBA talk going on around the Chicago area this weekend, especially today. Welcome back on TNN Motorsports, the inaugural running of the Fram Route 66 Nationals. Let's go back and take a look at some of the highlights. Round 2, Fuel Funny Cars. Hey, it looks like Cruz and the gang got it back together. The Interstate Batteries Hot Rod Magazine car to take on Dale Worsham. Didn't qualify at the last race. Ran in the 4s 2 races to go. Which car and driver would show up here at the Fram Route 66 Nationals? Wouldn't make a lot of difference since Cruiser smoked him. How about Dale Worsham gets the win at 5.11, goes to the semifinals.
Dell, on this racetrack right now, you kind of need to check some of your power at the door. You don't need it all.
I'll tell you what, you're not kidding there. This racetrack here, it's hot out. You know, it's slippery. The cars spin the tires hard, but checker shucks Cragen. Pontiac went down there. Everybody from Felpro, this is their hometown race. I wish them good luck.
Seems to be everybody's hometown race. 511, kid.
Hey, as nice as this track is, everybody's going to start claiming it as their home track or hometown. Look at Cruz, strikes the tires, another early exit. He's got to be plenty dejected. He's usually got the best car in the ballpark, just hasn't been able to win.
Cruzy, you hate it when you can't take advantage of a situation the one you had today.
Yeah, we had the cards laid out for us there, but I'll tell you, our guys did a heck of a job getting this thing back together after that wheel stand. And I just got to say to Interstate and everybody, Hot Rod Magazine, for sticking with us. This is what drag racing's all about. It's up and down, and I felt good in the car, felt comfortable. I have my coach out here this weekend, and you know, it's one of those deals. We'll get them next time.
That situation that Steve talked about, of course, John Force going out in round one. He's done it twice this year already. First time in 4 years that's happened for us. Cruz, you got to capitalize on those runs. Here's the Mad Magazine car against Chuck Etchels. Two guys in lifestyle about 180 degrees apart. Jerry Tolliver in the Mad Magazine car. Right now, it's about time that you should start to worry. Chuck's the winner. Good old Ford Chevrolet matchup, just like in the old days here in Chicago area. It's the Copenhagen Chevrolet rolling along, backs away. Ron Capps the wheelman. Whit Bazemore, Team Winston Ford, and this baby is flat running here this weekend. Whit Bazemore in these conditions, a marvelous performance. The Ford car goes to the semis with a stunning 5:02.
But not only is this car really coming around at 5:02, but you're driving with a lot of confidence up there.
Well, yeah, you know, it's Team Winston. We've had a tough year. We're a bunch of angry guys, let me tell you, because, you know, Steve, we started the year, we thought, after last season, we're a clinch for this Winston championship. Just kidding. But, you know, it's been tough, and we're hungry, and the team's working well, the car's working well, and I'm just trying to do my part in this game.
Indeed.
Hey, Whit, I think you look like one of those Blues Brothers we saw earlier. Just kidding, Whit. Frank Pedregon, the Jim Dunn Johnny Lightning car, stunning first-round upset winner, taking on the Easy Care car of Jim Epler, finalist 2 weeks ago at E-Town. Big head start? I think not. Red light start for Frank Pedregon. He is out of here. Jim Epler got a couple of breaks like that en route to the finals at E-Town. Hey, maybe he's going to do it again here today at the Fram Route 66 Nationals. We're going to take a look at how they'll match up going into the semifinals. How about Jim Epler and Dale Worsham? If you had them in the office pool, you'd jump it up and down right about now. Worsham gets lane choice, and Chuck Etchels against Whit Bazemore. That'll be a great Ford Chevrolet match. Let's go down to Whit's, Hits, and Laura.
Whit Bazemore lost in the first round 5 of the first 9 races of the season, and the 98 car was a big disappointment for the team. So 2 weeks ago at Englishtown, they went to the 97 car, and the results were immediate. They advanced to the semifinals both then and this weekend. 2 old friends have been helping you out, Whit.
Well, that's true. Roy Hill has helped me on my reaction times, and obviously the car, we're old buddies. We won 4 races last year. I like this Al Swindle-built Mustang. We're ready to go.
Should be an interesting semifinal coming up. Hey, don't forget AC Delco, Clint Black, and TNN are giving away. That's right, giving away a beautiful Chevy truck. A vintage 1972 Cheyenne pickup worth $25,000, autographed by Clint Black. For your chance to win, send your name, address, and phone number to the address on your screen or enter online at www.country.com. Thursday, June 18th, one lucky viewer gets the keys to the AC Delco Chevy truck, autographed by Clint Black. They'll give it away on Prime Time Country. There are folks everywhere here at the Fram Route 66 Nationals. They're going to look at more racing when we come back.
This new drag strip in Chicago is long awaited, so we asked a few fans to tell us what they think.
This is incredible. I can't believe it. I mean, I've never seen anything like this, so glad we're here.
It's fantastic. I'm from Toledo, Ohio. I'll be back.
They need this track. This is going to be awesome. All year long, but we have racing right here. I can't wait.
Are you excited about drag racing being in Chicago?
Yeah. I came up here for tumbling a few weeks ago, so it's just up here again, and it's fun.
I think it's fabulous. It's about time the Chicagoland area got a racetrack that they can use out here. We really needed it.
Absolutely beautiful. I've been to Pomona. I was at Pomona last fall, and other than the scenery, the mountains, I mean, this place is just beautiful.
Hey, this is wonderful. It's great. It's the best one so far.
This must be exciting for you.
Oh, it is. You know, it's something new. It's first one around this area, so I come to see it like everybody else.
I like that one little kid. I came here for tumbling. You know, you'd be surprised how many people we have that are into both tumbling and NHRA drag racing. It's an amazing crossover audience. Let's go back and take a look at some of the stuff that went on in Pro Stock. Round number 2. There's that Jags mail order car. This is Troy Coughlin, not Jag at the wheel this time. Whoa, baby, the Summit car in the other lane. Mark Powell, little bragging rights, both out of Ohio, both in the mail order business. The Pontiac and the Oldsmobile. Troy Coughlin, by the way, earlier in the day, picked up his first round win of the season. The Cowboy qualified top half of the field. He is looking good. Good matchup, good finish. At the top end, it's going to be Troy Coughlin, 7:04. Just did handle the Cowboys, 0:05. Here's the outlaw, Bruce Allen. What a great qualifying effort this weekend for the Rare and Morrison team. Showing the vagaries of Pro Stock. They've been to the finals. They've also not qualified. Tommy Martino's been on a roller coaster ride this year, and I guess it's only fitting since he's sponsored by Six Flags. Another great run. That's what makes NHRA Winston drag racing so great. Margin of victory just a couple of hundredths of a second.
Well, the Outlaw robs the theme park with a 7:05.
Well, it's pretty good for this time of day. I'm glad to get the old Outlaw Pontiac in the next round. That was a good race. This is a nice facility, isn't it? Man, the fans, I can't tell you, they come to the back of the trailer just polite, want autographs. This is as nice a place as I've been.
It's interesting when the drivers talk about how nice the racetrack is. Now let's go to the pits for Dave Reeve.
Our next race in Pro Stock's a pretty good one, and not just because it's Mike Thomas versus Mark Osborne. There's a whole lot more at stake here. It's bragging rights to the finish line. Understand what I'm saying? Well, now you will. Remember, Finish Line Racing Engines, that's the motor program Mike Thomas started 2 years ago. Incidentally, underneath the hood of Mark Osborne's car is the exact same motor. They've raced twice before this year. Each have picked up a win. That makes this third time the rubber match.
Great place to come and shoot it out, all tied up at one apiece, kind of like the Bulls and the Pacers. Well, except for that one apiece thing. Mark Osborne ran in the O's earlier in the day. Dick Sherman owns the race car. This is as strong a car as there is out there right now. Mike Thomas has done everything but win one of these things this year. He'd love to put the Pennzoil car in the championship round here today. Thomas runs him down, gets the win with a 7:03 to Mark Osborne's close 7:06. Well, if you go back through the annals of history, Warren Johnson has raced his son Kurt 30 different times. Warren has beaten up on him 21 times. The AC Delco Chevrolet of Kurt Johnson coming off that big $50,000 Pro Stock Challenge win at E-Town. See if he can punch out the old man. It would be a valiant effort for the Chevrolet, but he comes up short. If you're keeping score at home, it's Warren 22, Kurt 9. Warren's gone on, Kurt's not.
Well, you left on him and never saw him.
Leaving on him is tough because he's the best pressure lever out here. Tommy's good, but Kurt will drill him every time.
Track a little slick, moving around.
It's definitely getting hotter out there, a little slick. It's not coming apart, it's just hotter. Yeah.
Warren Johnson loves the challenge of adapting to the racetrack. Let's take a look at those semis. Warren Johnson and Troy Coughlin. WJ gets lane choice. He's been the dominant car power-wise throughout the course of the weekend. And it'll be Mike Thomas against the Outlaw, Bruce Allen. And lane choice goes to the Pennzoil car. Of course, the Outlaw products also sponsored by Pennzoil. Talked about those TV shows. We talked about Warren Johnson. Let's combine both of them. What do you think Warren Johnson's favorite TV show was, if any?
Actually, we didn't have a TV until about 1959 or 60, so I really didn't pay that much attention to TV.
You watch any of it now?
No, I work for a living.
Welcome back, everybody, to TNN Motorsports, exclusive coverage of the inaugural running of the Fram Route 66 Nationals. And Dale Coyne drove those Indy cars back from 1984 to 1991, and it's very interesting to find out that a guy that used to race Indy cars now running a drag strip. And this is Dale Coyne with me here in the tower, and I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to get away from all the madness and mayhem that's going on out there. Welcome.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
Are you glad to get away from some of the duties for a few moments?
No, I've enjoyed it. I kind of thrive on it a little bit, and it's been a lot of hard work, this weekend, but it's worth it today.
Dale, tell us about some of the response that you've gotten from the people here. We've heard drivers during the course of this on winning interviews, and all they want to talk about is this track.
We knew it was going to be a great facility. You know, we try to take the same care that people put into a modern-day Winston Cup track and do it here for all the people of NHRA, the people of AMA, and World of Outlaws, and just the response from the fans. Friday night I went up and walked through the stands and sat in different spots to see if there were any bad seats and talked to the people, and it's just unbelievable, the response. I mean, the concourse area we treated as nice, cool. We did it with concrete instead of asphalt. Picnic tables, there's places for people to go. It's just, there's not a bad seat in the house.
The creature comforts here are simply unbelievable. I love that pavilion area underneath there where you have the concession stands.
Yeah, you know, we go to a lot of, with the IndyCar team, we go and we see a lot of awful lunch facilities around the country, around the world. And we just wanted to do that here.
You know, it was magnificent. The opening ceremonies earlier today. I mean, we had everything from the Budweiser Clydesdales to these planes flying over. How'd you guys orchestrate all that?
We went for it. You know, we've seen a lot of nice, facilities and a lot of things that are done, and we wanted to do that here. I mean, the people of Chicago have long wanted a motorsports facility, and we think we've given them a great one.
These are the only 2 minutes all weekend long. This guy hasn't been on the move, but we want to thank Dale Coyne and everybody here with his staff for this marvelous job they've done. Folks, put it on the calendar for next year. If you don't get a chance to be here for some of their other events this season, come on back for the Fram Route 66 Nationals in 1999. Don't forget that coming up on Saturday on TNN Motorsports, you'll see for the first time the NASCAR Winston West Series. They duel it out on the 2-mile road course at Heartland Park, Topeka. Check out the Luke Oil 250 Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern right here on TNN Motorsports. Nothing goes together with Route 66 like trucks, and we got some of the best. The Pro Stock truck activity from qualifying through final rounds, all coming up right here next on TNN Motorsports from the inaugural Fram Route 66 Nationals.
A drag racing purist has to love NHRA's new Pro Stock truck category. After all, the driver looks like he's racing, throwing through the gears instead of shifting with the push of a button like on Grandpa's Plymouth. A fan also has to love the battle of the brands as the bow tie squares off with the blue oval and the 5-pointed star. Win on Sunday and sell on Monday, just like in the golden days. Currently, Larry Kopp is the top trucker as the pickups take the off-ramp to Route 66 Raceway.
Hey, man, I used to push buttons there. Wow. The folks here at Route 66 love the trucks, and wait a minute, it's not a Pro Stock truck. It was close anyway. Larry Kopp would take on Sandra Sykes in one of those Ford Chevy matchups that Laura talked about. There are some of the other matchups. How about Ronnie Sachs made it into the field here? John Langenfelder might be the odds-on favorite to scoot through that side, but don't tell that to Henderson and Nickens because those Dodge trucks on that side of the ladder are dynamite. Let's take a look at some of the highlights from back in round number 1. It's the Jerry Haas Tabasco truck on the far side. That's Brad Jeter up and Bob Piniella Jr. His dad, Bob Piniella, has been around Winston drag racing for the better part of 30 years. Marvelous vehicles all. But in this particular round, it would not be quite enough. Piniella at 786. Brad Jeter gets the win. In the next pair, this is Jerry Haas, the guy that has built most of these Chevy S10 trucks and a lot of the others. Todd Patterson for the Dodge boys in the far lane. The Dakota trying to steal one. Yep, he won it on the starting line. 788, beat Jerry Haas 7.81.
You rolled the dice up there?
Not too much. I just went in when I was ready, and I didn't think he quick treated us or anything. I thought it was a pretty clean start, and I was pretty shocked that he wasn't there.
He wasn't there.
David Reef has a preview of one of the few guys that have actually won in the truck race series so far this year.
If you paid attention to Pro Stock Truck qualifying, you'll notice there was one driver missing in action during the first 2 rounds, David Nickens, the Mopar truck that won the very first ever Pro Stock Truck race back in Houston. Well, there's 2 pretty good reasons for that. First of all, motor. They felt they didn't have a combination that could get down the racetrack. They spent the first 2 rounds trying to get that thing tuned up, so hopefully it would match up with their brand new wing. You see the hollowed out centers? They thought that would enable them to pick up a few extra hundredths on the time slip. Must have worked. Their last qualifying pass got them in solidly at the number 3 spot. In round number 1, they will race Dave McConnell.
McConnell in the Chevrolet out of Pennsylvania on the far side. There is Team Mopar, former Winston champion in the sportsman ranks. David Nickens, he can flat out drive a truck. Nickens overcomes a McConnell hole shot, gets the win, 781 to a 795. Too much power for David Nickens.
Well, David, you gunned him down with a 781, but tell me about cutting out the rear spoiler.
Well, we've been working with Jerry Bickle a little bit, and it seems to have a little bit of effect on the speed, and we think it's helped us a little bit, and we're just doing a little experiment. Nobody really knows what the trucks want yet, and we're working on it, the truck, just as hard as we are the engine program.
Apparently it didn't want that much downforce.
Wow. David Nickens did not get in until that last-ditch effort, as David said. Kopp and Jeter, Tidwell and Patterson, very good matchups. Ronnie Sox broke on the starting line in the opener. Lingenfelder did advance. He's got Henderson, and Nickens will take on the quiet, soft-spoken Randy Daniels and his Chevrolet.
Round 2 of Pro Stock Truck eliminations, we have a David and Goliath story, with Randy Daniels playing the part of David. But it'll take more than a rock and a sling to bring down his opponent, David Nickens, who beat him in the final round at Houston, the first race of the season, and is driving a factory-sponsored Mopar. Randy and his dad, Garley, are a self-financed 2-man team, but they say they're hungry, they're ready to go rounds, and they're confident.
Great crowd on hand here, as we've mentioned all throughout the course of the weekend, that the Pro Stock trucks have been doing a marvelous job. And, of course, we got finals coming up pretty soon, some semis and all that good action coming up here on TNN Motorsports from the inaugural running of the Fram Route 66 Nationals. You really can't imagine what this venue is like. Get on the phone Monday and start ordering your tickets for the 1999 race. It is going to be a standing room only crowd. Now Bill Henderson on board with that Dodge truck, and John Lingenfelder, the Summit racing machine. We saw Mark Powick with the Summit Pontiac and Pro Stock car. Lingenfelder, who makes as much horsepower as just about anybody in this class, wants to go to the semis. Dive right at the quarter-mile mark. Got him. Henderson, 794. Beats an 801. Little onboard stuff with the Dodge.
You're feeling good about this now. Absolutely, but I got to give John credit for one big thing, and that is we bent a valve in this this motor last race. It's John Lingenfelder's valve in this motor.
Terrific. The sportsmanship lives on in Pro Stock trucks.
Well, that John Lingenfelder is just such a warm and fuzzy kind of guy, isn't he? Here's the Charlie Balcom Racing Team machine. Scott Tidwell up, and Todd Patterson, one of the Dodge trucks, as they get set to slug it out. Winner goes into the semifinals. Tidwell qualified very well here in the number 4 slot with the S10 out of Alabama. Tidwell by about that much. His 787 beat Todd Patterson's very close 790.
You know, Scott, it's like they always say, just keep going rounds, and sooner or later you'll win one.
Yeah, we're trying. Our crew's working real hard. They've really been trying hard, Steve. They really deserve something here, but we got a tough one right here, I think.
They're all tough when you get down to the semifinals.
Yep, it would be David Nickens taking on Randy Daniels. Randy's dad, Garley, a former Winston champion, top eliminator category, where he used to run against and beat up on, sometimes, David Nickens. With the Dodge Dakota top end. How about that David Nickens? Let's go in the pit area, Dave, where he's got a preview of another upcoming match.
It's been a hot weekend so far. If your name is Brad Jeter. That's because Brad is in Jerry Haas's Tabasco sponsored truck this weekend, and they've been pulling some pretty good numbers. The 9th qualified truck took out Bob Pinella Jr. in round number 1 thanks to a hole shot. But now he's got the unenviable task of facing Larry Kopp, the 2-time champion, who's also the points leader and national record holder. But Brad's not intimidated. He says if he can stay hot, he just might cut into Kopp's points lead.
A tall order. Larry Kopp has been the dominant truck on tour. That's his wife, Sue, as she backs away. The G-Force machine, engine out of Bill Jenkins' shop. The Grump who dominated the early years of Pro Stock car. His engine doing the same here in the early years of Pro Stock car. Jeter almost perfect out of the gate, and Larry Kopp just had enough Jenkins power to run him down. 776 beats Jeter's 787. Wow. Good run for Larry Kopp. Let's take a look at the way they will match up in the semifinals. Hey, everybody, get my kicks? Oh, you know how it goes. Nickens and Bill Henderson, that's an all Dodge affair. And on the other side, it will be an all Chevrolet affair. As the kid, Scott Tidwell, takes on Larry Kopp. We know one thing, that parity is going to work out well. It'll be one Dodge, one Chevy coming up in the finals here, no matter who wins in that next matchup. Chicago loves NHRA and TNN Motorsports, and hey, so do we. Oh, man, he's the best. Way to go, Steve. That really does sum it up. Welcome back on TNN Motorsports, the inaugural Fram Route 66 Nationals at this gorgeous Route 66 Raceway. Let's back and take a look at what happened in semifinals. Now remember, the Pro Stock trucks qualified Thursday and Friday. They had their eliminations on Saturday. On board with Team Mopar, the Dodge Dakota of Bill Henderson. Very tough customer here in the other lane, David Nickens. As I mentioned, the parity. When they set it out, NHRA designed to have Chevys and Fords and Dodges all kind of dealing from the same deck. And it's going to work out just the way they planned. One Dodge will be in the final, one Chevy. And the Dodge is going to be Henderson, 791. He won it because something wacky happened to David Nickens on the line.
You know, you had more power than Mr. Henderson, but you just can't sit there at the starting line, David.
I'm telling you, Steve, it's a tough deal up there, and you just got to do your job. And he did a great job, and I'm happy for him. He did a real good job, and at least we got a Mopar in the finals. And, you know, we just got to get our act together and do a little bit better job and try to close the gap on these guys.
I watched him race in the sportsman category for years. I can't remember the last time I saw David Nickens have a reaction time like that on the starting line. He'll be back. It would be Mr. Tidwell and Kopp, the Chevrolet. Who's going to get Henderson in the finals? This baby was over early as Larry Kopp gets the win. 779. Tidwell had some problems and will be the G-Force truck trying to make it 3 in a row in the Pro Stock Championship round for the trucks. So it's the bow ties and the Dodge Dakotas duking it out here at the Fram Route 66 Nationals. And I want to tell you, on Saturday, the folks were just going wild for these trucks. Larry Kopp and Bill Henderson, it will be their first meeting here in Pro Stock Truck, although they did meet several times over the past couple of years in the old competition eliminator category. Great competitors. Good rivalry, and this was the final yesterday afternoon. Again on board with Bill Henderson's Mopar truck, the 98 Dodge Dakota. He's got Larry Kopp. David Nickens won the first race down in Texas. Kopp has won the last two and has been, in the interest of fair reporting, the dominant single truck on race day. He would be the dominant truck on this race day as well. 777 Kopp. Henderson 788. Larry Kopp just continues to bury him in the Pro Stock truck class. Watch this again on our instant replay in slow-mo. It was Kopp first out of the starting gate by about 1/10 of a second with a Chevy S10. The G-Force accurate binding machine. Underneath that, it's a Bill Jenkins engine. His entire crew chief is his wife, Susan. They're doing a wonderful job.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. For Larry Kopp, it's another win, a bigger points lead, another Winston hat, another trophy from Miss Winston, Jackie Beck.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And you won it with 3 sevens.
I just can't believe it. I just got to thank Rick and Tommy Roth from Accurate Binding. They're my major partner sponsors, and I got to thank them. I just can't believe this is happening. It's unbelievable.
Congratulations to Larry Cobb. You know, we were talking about TV shows. Let's find out what Corey Mack used to watch when he was a kid. You know, he's probably the kind of guy that used to tune in for that old Mr. Wizard show. What do you think?
I was a big Gilligan's Island fan. I mean, I just love that show. That, and I'm still a big MASH fan, and all the old stuff. The funny thing is, I still watch them now.
Welcome back to TNN Motorsports exclusive coverage of the inaugural Fram Route 66 Nationals. Route 66 Raceway right outside of the Windy City where they're jamming because it's the Pacers and their Bulls coming up tonight. Boy, the drivers absolutely love this racetrack. As we mentioned, let's find out what some of them had to say in particular.
Kerry Selzy, what do you think of this new racetrack?
I got one word, glass. Smooth as glass.
It's awesome. It's one of a kind, and it's like an echo chamber out there. Really enjoy it.
It's unbelievable. You know, Billy Meyer started the whole thing at, one step, and then they've taken it to another one here in Chicago. It's a beautiful operation. I'm still at awe.
The arena that they have surrounding the starting line is the best view in the world of a drag strip.
It's like the Sphinx or something. You pull up and your hair just kind of stands up and it just takes your breath away. It's amazing. I'm glad to be part of it.
I can't hardly describe it in words, except it's the most fantastic facility in the United States of America that the NHRA Winston Drag Racing Tour goes to. Second to none. Absolutely perfect. Every detail to the nth degree. I've walked it, I've looked at it in every way, and it's perfect.
Well, Eddie Hill thinks it's perfect, too. After 460 qualifying runs, I thought the Pennzoil car was going to shred this field today.
Well, we looked so good. I mean, 4 of them back-to-back, with the worst run, 469 or whatever, and just looked like it was going to be our day.
You just picked a bad time to run a 470. His 470 would have beat anybody else in that first round. You've been racing since your teens. Motorcycles, boats, cars. What keeps you coming back year after year?
Well, the ride is a hoot, I mean, those G's are good. I've always been a G freak, and we're getting awful good rides now in the 460s and 312 on that run. And the fans act like they just love us, and they keep us coming back.
There's a rumor that you might retire next year. Your fans aren't ready for that, are you?
No, not next year. No way.
Still a lot of life left in you. How do you stay in such great shape besides chasing Earthy around trying to keep up with her?
Well, I have to work out a lot more than I used to. 6 or 8 years ago, I had to start doing a physical routine, and so I work at it pretty hard.
You're going to win more than one race this year, I predict.
Well, I sure hope so for our sake.
Let's go to the Pro Stock pits and Dave Reef.
Steve, as you know, there are only 3 Pro Stock Camaros out here, but there's only one of them that is really doing a great job qualifying, and that's Kurt Johnson. How has the transition, Kurt, been to the Z28?
It's not been real bad, Dave. We cut the body off, the old Firebird we had, put a Camaro body on, expected to hit it right off the bat at the Winter Nationals, like we finished the World Finals with a win, but things haven't seemed to pan out the way we thought the first couple races, new crew and all. It's taken some time to adjust, but the AC Delco Camaro's coming around right now. It's real consistent. We qualified 1 at Englishtown. Things will be all right.
Now let's go back and talk about some of your childhood experiences from Minnesota. It's quite possible that if you weren't racing today, you're going to be an ophthalmologist?
Well, I looked at lifestyles, what it took to have the lifestyle that I wanted at that time, and a good friend of ours, ophthalmologist back in Minnesota, had a boat on the lake, nice house, good-looking girlfriend, the whole ball of wax, and I thought, well, that could be me someday, but drag racing didn't blossom into what it is today at that time, and right now I think I got a better lifestyle than that. I got a great wife, family, whole ball of wax.
Connor, a year and a half old right now. They're expecting another one, so that should come sometime in July. Laura?
Dave, I'm standing here with one of the most popular drivers at the track, and Jerry Tolliver, you in this Mad Magazine car. The fans love you. They line up a mile deep. How do you feel about all this instant fame?
Oh, it's been a lot of fun. We've enjoyed a lot of success here with the Mad car. It's obviously very popular with the fans, and we like that. The whole idea behind this was to get the fans involved in something a little more than the corporate image stuff, and we got them with a little fun with the jokes and stuff on the cars, so it's worked real well.
I know you're involved with other things outside this, too. You're involved in some children's charities?
Well, we went to we did a match race at Firebird this year, and we went over to visit the Phoenix Children's Hospital, and I'll tell you, that was really gratifying. Those kids really come out there with the big ears and big eyes, and just really had a good time. We really enjoyed that. We're going to make that a habit. We're going to try to visit as many children's hospitals as we can across the country and visit with the kids. It really makes you feel good.
Now, I know you have a tennis shoe finish, too. You went to 6 stores and couldn't find a white pair, huh?
I knew you were going to go there. I thought we weren't going there.
There you go, Bob. Don't send him shopping for shoes.
You know, it's interesting that Jerry does a lot of that charity work, as do a lot of the races on the NHRA Winston Tour, and we applaud Jerry and his entire team for all their help, too, and things of that nature. This is a magnificent facility. You really do have to plan to make this part of your stop on the NHRA Winston Drag Racing Tour. The aerial shot from up above and the Budweiser blimp. We're going to come back and take a look at semifinals. We'll start with Pro Stock right here on TNN Motorsports.
Maybe more than any other class, Pro Stock cars require complete driver finesse. Even on great tracks, it can be icy going. Fail to correct or overcorrect and you bite the wall. Unlike some horses, this is one ride you don't give it its head or you'll be on yours.
Right here on TNN Motorsports from the inaugural running of the Fram Route 66 Nationals. Let's take a look at Pro Stock semifinals a little bit earlier today. You're going to get a chance to see the Pennzoil machine of Mike Thomas. That's the Outlaw car of Bruce Allen. Outlaw, the line of fuel additives, part of the Pennzoil stable. They almost can't lose in this one. The top end by a nose, 7:01, gets the win to a 7:04. Continually great competition in NHRA Winston Pro Stock. Here he is, the big guy, Warren Johnson. He gets this black Pontiac on a roll. There's nobody that can stop him. Troy Coughlin, the latest one to try. WJ in the near lane. Coughlin gives him a run, but the Goodwrench Service Plus car, the winner at 7 flat, 197.80. Let's go to Steve Evans.
I have to tell you, Warren Johnson is so anxious to race. He's already in the staging lane. You are no strangers to finals. Mike Thomas has been in only 2. This is second. Big advantage for you.
Well, I don't know that we're at a new racetrack. There's really not much difference between the lanes. If there's a lane choice, it's more of a psychological thing than anything else. And Mike's been around a long time. He's had a lot of rounds, but just hasn't gotten to the final that often, so he's a relatively seasoned racer.
Good luck. Have a safe ride.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Dave Reef is over in the opponent's pit.
Actually, I'm in the staging lanes, too. Both these guys are chomping at the bit. Incidentally, his second final ever going up against Warren Johnson. With 7:03, 7:03, 7:01, you're getting quicker every time out.
Yeah, we've got the car really under control. My crew is just doing a great job. I mean, they really deserve a win here.
And hopefully he'll get it here today. And incidentally, the last time he raced Warren Johnson was in Englishtown, first round of the Pro Stock Challenge. He took him out.
Yeah, it couldn't be any sweeter here. This is a great racetrack. I mean, it's a great event here to come, and not only does my crew deserve it, but my sponsor deserves it. It's been a long time since Pennzoil's been in the winner's circle, and I'd like to bring them there today.
Should be a great final, Bob.
Indeed. They've met once so far this season in actual race competition. That was in the final down at Houston. Warren Johnson got the better of Mike Thomas right there. WJ ran almost 198 in the semifinals. Man, Thomas will have his hands full. We got more from the Fram Route 66 Nationals coming up on TNN Motorsport. Part of this massive standing room only one-day record crowd at the Fram Route 66 Nationals, enjoying the racing and the racetrack. A lot of great folks. You got to start them early, Got to be like John Force fans or Warren Johnson fans real early. Let's go back and take a look at the semifinals in the funny car category. And it's a Final Four you probably wouldn't have picked. Epler and Worsham. Jim Epler's got the Easy Care car, trying to go to his second final in a row. He did it in Englishtown. Dale Worsham hasn't been this far since Seattle of '97. The Checkers, Shucks, Cragen car, those running well. A lot of smoke for Epler. His storybook ride comes to an end in the semis. And how about that Worsham kid? 5:06, he's gone to the finals. Tim Richards, the crew chief on the Kendall Super Winch. Mama Rosa Pizza, Chevrolet backs away. Chuck Etchels and the Leathers. It's Team Winston and Ford and Whit Bazemore Classic. Good old Chicago-style shooting. Hell, Etchels must have been firing blanks in this shootout. Bazemore, oh baby, 496 at 3:02. Let's go down to David Reeve.
And Bob, that was the only 4-second pass in eliminations. Incidentally, he had an 8:88 60-foot time, and that is outstanding. You guys are catching on.
Well, it looks good on paper, but to be honest, we were pretty lucky. I mean, the car came this close to smoking the tires. We ran that 4, but we made up that ET. We made all that ET in the first 60 feet, and that's not the place to do it. So, we've tried to calm the car down a little bit, but for the final, it's going to be a good race with Dell. We're chomping at the bit to get going here.
I guarantee you something else, too, Steve Evans. He's not taking that young man lightly.
He better not. And Dell, he is pumped up. Hasn't been in a final in 5 years. How much of this is this new Victory-built race car?
I tell you, it's a lot of it's in the race car because it's making consistent runs. It's going straight. The car, it just does the same thing. It repeats, and that's the one thing we've been missing.
Now you have to repeat.
Absolutely. We just got to go out and do the best we can for our track. Good friend of mine, Ray Alley, told me, he says, just run as good as you can. Don't try and chase them down because it's all you can do.
Have fun. Bob Fry?
Dale Worsham is just such a neat kid, a good old Southern California boy looking to win his first in a long while here. And it wouldn't surprise you the season that Dell's had. They haven't met yet, but he has looked good at 2 out of the last 3 races. He's in that Krager 4-second club. It'll be a great ride. Let's take a look at what a lot of the drivers used to watch when they were kids, sitting at home in front of the old TV. Guys?
I wasn't much of a TV watcher to start with. Little Rascals, Batman, I Love Lucy. Those are the things that I like.
Gumby. That was about the only thing I ever watched, and that's my nickname. They ran a story on it, and that's when everyone's calling me out here.
Let's see, what would I have watched on TV?
What was it that made you like Gumby?
That was the only show. It was either Gumby or That Girl.
Jackie Gleason, The Honeymooners. Of course, they were before my time, but I liked that. I liked Gunsmoke. Movies, Rawhide. Rolling, rolling, rolling. Keep those doggies rolling.
I can't even remember what was on. I wasn't that much into TV. Three Stooges, loved them.
Favorite shows, Leave It to Beaver was one of them. I used to watch that when I'd get out of school in the afternoons. And Star Trek.
Jackie Gleason. Wrestling. Wrestling was neat then. What would be another good thing?
I think Roadrunner. I was always into racing, always into speed, always into trying to chase somebody. So I think watching them guys run up and down the desert like that was always exciting.
I think my favorite show was watching our race car go down the racetrack.
I can't remember anything about it anymore.
Too old.
Promotional consideration provided for and a fee paid by this special offer from Diamond D.
And they walked away 5. Spectacular racing action on asphalt, dirt, and water. You've heard about it, now own it. Non-stop excitement the entire family will enjoy. Jaws will drop and eyebrows will raise as you watch drivers walk away from white-knuckle crashes. NHRA, monster trucks, NASCAR, boats, and more. It's all here. Call 1-800-396-5444 and order your copy of And They Walked Away 5.
Folks, you better get in the seats. We're getting set for semifinals and Top Fuel, and then all the finals coming up from the inaugural Fram Route 66 National. Let's take a look back. Earlier in the day, just a little while ago, Top Fuel semis. It's the CarQuest machine. Paul Romine, whose biggest win to date, probably that win down at Norwalk just a week ago. Of course, he went against Bernstein in the finals, the Winston invite. And then he fouled out. Unbelievable. Fouls out, and look at that stuff all over our onboard camera. Boy, those guys going to be upset. But Bernstein miraculously gets the look because of the red light. Ooh, look out. Dodging the game. Don't sit too close to the TVs, and don't try this at home. Kenny Bernstein absolutely got a lucky break right there. And, of course, they have all the good stuff in the parts. They'll be back. Team Winston, Gary Scelzi going off against Bob Vandergrift Jr., the Jersey's activewear machine, looking to have his biggest day at the races in quite some while. And Vandergrift belches a motor. He runs a 5.0, but Scelzi gets the win with a sizzling 470, and by a bunch, he gets lane choice. David's with him.
And Bob, they're getting on a roll at a good time. They've gone to their 4th consecutive semifinal this week, but more importantly, Gary, it's your first final since the World Finals last year. This couldn't have come at a better time.
No, you know what, Team Winston, we've had a lot of problems over these last few months, and we started to get back on a roll a little bit. We broke out the old car, and, man, I'll tell you what, Alan's doing a heck of a job, and so are the guys. We need to pull this one off.
Well, on paper, Steve Evans, this would favor Gary Scelzi, but you know these things aren't done on paper. They're settled on the track.
Absolutely, and as you fans saw, KB kaboomed one in the semis. How big was the thrash?
It was top to bottom, Steve. New blower all the way down to new block and everything. It hurt it pretty good.
Pretty good rivalry between you and Selzy.
Yeah, there's getting to be one, obviously. I think it's been there for a while, but it's pretty intense right now. It'll be a tough game. They're a great race team. We just hope the Bud King and Louie can come through for us.
Louie the Lizard, strap in. We're about ready.
Got it, man.
Bob?
It is getting to be a great rivalry. They've only met once so far this season. That was down in Dallas, and Selzy got the win down there. But they've met 10 times in Gary Selzy's brief driving career, and Selzy has beaten Bernstein 8 of those 10 times. Bernstein and Louie hoping to change things around coming up in the finals. Sunday, don't forget, coming up tonight on TNN Outdoors, due to the live coverage of the Fram Route 66 Nationals, Quest for Adventure, Hank Parker Outdoors, One More Cast, and Bassmaster will be seen at special times tonight, all starting at 9 p.m. Well, we've taken a look at trucks and funny cars and top fuelers and pro stock cars. All that leaves are the bikes.
Some say there's nothing like the open road. Wind blowing through your hair, 2 wheels, and no inhibitions. But then again, they've never ridden Pro Stock motorcycle. It's a totally different kind of Sunday drive. The Pro Bike Finals are coming your way next.
Welcome back, everybody, on TNN Motorsports from the Fram Route 66 Nationals Pro Stock Bikes. It's the finals. It's Matt Hines. It's Angel Sealing. Hines has gone as quick as 7:29 on the Eagle One Suzuki. He beat Stephanie Reeves, Antron Brown, and Greg Underdahl, who had another good outing. And in the semifinals, this lady on Team Winston had a perfect reaction time to take out John Smith. She would like to start a sweep for Team Winston, something they have never done. Pro Stock bike, top fuel, funny car. All she's got to do is beat Matt Hines. Out, and Matt Hines runs 7:29 at 184 miles an hour. Coming back off that stunning disappointment at Englishtown 2 weeks ago, the kid is back on track. Angel, as I mentioned, perfect in the semis. You can't get much better, and she tried to be better than 4:00. She fouled out on the starting line. Let's go down to David Reef with Dad Hines.
And Dad's got a big smile on his face. The kid gets the job done. Following that E-Town meltdown, you guys just put it in cruise control today.
We put all that behind us, and we just wanted to come out to this race and demonstrate that the breakage at Englishtown cost us the race, but we still have the dominant bike.
Honestly, when you guys roll into the finals, how worried are you?
I'm so nervous I can't even hardly stand up. I mean, there's so many things that can go wrong on one of these bikes. I mean, just our crew that we got with us now is really good. My youngest son's here, and we're pumped.
Nothing went wrong for these guys today, Laura Bird.
No, and you know what, Dave? We got Steve LaValle here with Fram congratulating and handing over the trophy to Matt. Matt, does this make up for last time?
Well, it definitely helps. You know, I was focused pretty intensely there, and you know, Angel's a tough customer, and we had a long delay there, and hey, I was able to stay focused and do my own job.
Nice run, 7:29.
Oh man, that was an awesome run. I mean, it feels great. I mean, that thing was just screaming through the finish line.
Your daddy says congratulations from the start.
Matt Hines just about running away and hiding with this thing. Angel and Team Winston giving him a shot. Smith, Myers, and the very strong Greg Underdahl in the top 5 there. Matt Hines might be about the most positive shore lock here in Chicago. Well, other than Michael Jordan and the Bulls, of course. We have got the Pro Stock Car Finals. They'll be down there on that starting line area, and it's going to be Mike Thomas and the Pennzoil machine against Warren Johnson, the Goodwrench Service Plus machine from GM. Warren running out of the number 1 qualifying spot, Thomas number 3, and here they come. WJ with lane choice. He has been, like Matt Hines in the bike, the dominant car here on race day.
Mike Thomas's finish line motors may well have as much horsepower as WJ's, but it takes more than just sheer power in today's pro stock. So much of it is chassis tuning, the shocks, the weight distribution, even the tires. And there I give the edge to Warren Johnson. Unless Warren is brain dead on the starting line, I think he'll probably take this.
I absolutely agree, Steve Evans. If you take a look at Warren Johnson's track record at new tracks over the last 4 years, he is undefeated. Virginia Motorsports Park, he's won 4 straight. St. Louis last year, I think things point in his favor. He has lane choice, and that is the definitive side to be on.
Guys, it doesn't make any difference where they are racing. Warren Johnson receives the win. This is his 107th final round. For Mike Thomas, he's only 105 behind. Oh, baby, he ran him down. Warren Johnson was first out of the gate, and Mike Thomas punched him out with a 702. 196 miles an hour. WJ slows to a 707, only 194 miles an hour. His worst numbers of the weekend could not have come at a worse time. Mike Thomas in the Pennzoil car down there now saying, hey, Fry, Warren might have won 68 races. I've won 1. I might be 67 behind, but I'm gaining. How about that? His own engine program finally pays off. WJ left first. I thought that was a death warrant for Mike Thomas. By that much, the Pennzoil car picks up the win, and the crowd, as they say, goes wild. And they ought to. That first one's got to be really sweet. Steve?
Well, it was bedlam for a moment down here as well. Mike Thomas, there is nothing like your first one.
Thanks, Steve. I tell you, we've been trying for this for 5 or 6 years, and it's just so nice to be here.
When Warren left on you a little bit, we thought, it's over. It wasn't.
Well, you know, it was marginal all the way down the track. I think both lanes got a little slick. We had a tough time. We got up on the tire and toward the center line, but we just hung in there and kept going and paid off.
Steve, give him his first ever national event trophy. Boy, he'll cherish that one, Bob Fry.
Congratulations to Mike Thomas and the Pennzoil guys, and congratulations to them for bringing that engine program in. Well, Warren put a little distance between himself and Yates and Coughlin. Osborne in the 4-hole, and KJ with that Chevrolet hanging right there in the top 5. Ooh, that gives you goosebumps watching a guy win his first race like that, especially when you can kind of run down Warren Johnson. Fuel Funny cars are on the launch pad getting set for the finals. There's no John Forrest. There is a Whit Bazemore. There is a Dale Worsham. There is a TNN Motorsports. We'll all get together in just a moment for the finals. Welcome back, everybody, to the inaugural running of the Fram Route 66 Nationals on TNN Motorsports. We got the Fuel cars sitting down there on the launch pad. What a stunning upset in Pro Stock. We got an opportunity for the guys from Checkers, Shucks, and Cragen to do likewise here in the Fuel Funny category as young Dale Worsham, the 1991 NHRA Rookie of the Year, trying to win his first race since that Banner 91 season. He'll take on Team Winston, Whit Bazemore, and the Ford, who a year ago this weekend won his first ever national event.
One of the trends of funny cars have been fighting all day is smoking the tires at the far end of the racetrack. I got a chance to talk to Chuck Worsham to see what he's going to do to try to combat that. They say they're going to try to speed that car up between 200 and 600 foot into the run to keep the car from spinning. It's been a day of destiny so far, so what the heck? I think Dale Worsham's got a pretty good shot here, Stevie.
Indeed he does. If you look at the numbers from the previous rounds, you'd have to give the edge to Whit Bazemore. But if you'd done that in Pro Stock, you'd be giving the edge to Warren Johnson. I certainly did. The one thing I worry about, I love Dale Worsham. He's such a great kid, but back in the staging lanes, he was so pumped up he was actually trembling. I hope he can just compose himself, Bob.
Steve, I know you and I both missed that call badly on pro stock. I mean, Warren was out first and got run down. This one should be a very interesting run. Witt's got to make a run for the championship, and if he's going to do it, he needs to win this one. And what a rebound it would be for Del Worsham. This team didn't even make the cut a week ago. They joined the Castrol 4-second club 2 weekends ago, 2 races ago down in Dallas. This ought to be a great race here. Somebody's going to pick up their first win of the year here at the Fram Route 66 Nationals. Up in smoke, and Whit Bazemore gets the win with a 5 flat, 297 miles an hour. If you're scoring at home, Worsham 768, 113 miles an hour. Let's give credit where credit's due. John Force went out early. Cruz had problems. This car, Team Winston, was the dominant car on race day. Out of the gate, a slight edge for Worsham. Up in smoke goes his car and his chances for the win. Whit Bazemore wins for the first time since Indy of 1997. Congratulations to Rob Flynn and all the guys from Team Winston back on the starting line. It has been a long uphill battle here at the start of the 98 season. Let's go down to the far end of the racetrack and Steve Evans.
Whit Bazemore is just now gliding off the end of the racetrack. With any luck, he'll pop up through the hatch. Here he comes right now. We'll get the helmet off, and we'll have a word with a man who has really rebounded here, and it took a car from last year. Whit, over on this side, if you would, friend. Whit. I tell you, he is going to be excited. One thing with Whit Bazemore you have to do, when he takes his helmet off, you got to get his earplugs out, or he screams at you. So as soon as he does get that off, and we hope it's soon, I tell you, the guys, Rob Flynn, his crew, have done just a sensational job. They did not get down this year when things were not going as they wanted to after winning 4 races in 1997. I tell you, Whit's having a hard time because he's so excited. Okay, take the earplugs out first. Don't scream at me. What great job. 5 flat.
5 flat. You know, I tell you what, that's the team doing that. It's awesome. It's awesome for Rob Flynn, Team Winston. You know, Angel did a good job today. It's we got one more. My teammate Gary Selzy. I'm sorry, Gary. I'm just excited, and it's great, man. It's great.
It is great, Bob.
Well, congratulations. What's his name for the win there with Team Winston. John Force went out early, but hey, nobody could really take advantage. Chucky went a couple of rounds. Cruz didn't. Caps didn't. Tim Wilkerson didn't win one here in Illinois, his home state, but that John Costanza car is going to be there throughout the season. Well, congrats to Whit Bazemore and Team Winston. It's going to be the Budweiser King, Kenny Bernstein and Louie, riding along, looking for their second win on the season. They're going to get a chance to duke it out with the other Team Winston car, looking to double up when we come back on TNN Motorsports. It's almost sad, but these Fram Route 66 Nationals are about to come to an end. I say sad because it has been a little piece of history here at this marvelous new racetrack. And the final run will be the Budweiser King, Kenny Bernstein, going off against Team Winston's Gary Selzy, the last 2 Winston Top Fuel champs. Bernstein in 96, Selzy in 97.
These aren't 2 drivers you're apt to see having dinner together or socializing. It's not that they don't like each other. They just come from different worlds and they have nothing in common. There were some bad words between them after a burn down on the starting line in Dallas 2 races ago. They say that that's behind them. They're just up there to race like it was any other competitor. I like Selzy's chances just because he didn't have the major mechanical problems in his semis.
Selzy is coming up. I did talk to Alan Johnson and Lee Beard, the crew chiefs for both of these cars. Both crew chiefs are saying they're just going to race the racetrack. Key is getting off the starting line, the first 100 foot, 200 foot, just like we saw with Del Worsham. If Kenny Bernstein expects to win here today, He's got to get the job done. It would be his 50th win, so a lot on the line for Team Red.
Smoke-filled top fuel final, and Kenny Bernstein gets the win at 5.58 smoky seconds, 265 miles an hour. He gave Louis the ride of his life, and Bernstein, who came into this race with 5 consecutive first-round losses, had not won a round since winning Gainesville on the National Event Tour, wins it like this. From another angle, it still looks like the Bud King out in front, and Kenny Bernstein with his second win on the season. It wasn't dominating Bud King performance, nor were the numbers there for Alan Johnson in the finals, as he's jumping up and down out there on the starting line area. Kenny Bernstein was way out the top end of the racetrack, and Steve Evans is down there with the King.
Well, Kenny Bernstein, apparently you won that. It was a wild one. Apparently there was some controversy in the tower, but I'm going to say you won it because it looked to me like you did. That would be Kenny's 50th win, as Dave Reef said. Steve LaValle from Fram, an old pal of yours, with the trophy as Kenny gets his hat off. That was like the days in Caddo Mills when you first started your top fuel career, smoking the tires.
It wasn't pretty, Steve, that's for sure, but boy, we're just tickled to win anytime. I don't know what the controversy would be at all. I can't imagine because obviously, yeah, well, they get confused up there sometimes, I guess, but we're just tickled. Budweiser, Prolong, Mac Tools, all of them. Borla, I can't stand it for Borla, champion, those people. My 2 buddies back I took the $50 for last week on the golf. That was your gallon of gas. That was Skip and Mike. We appreciate it. Bagwell, all the guys up there, August the 4th, LeBron, you name it, you guys, this one's for you. And Karen, darling, Winston, we're happy.
Enjoy that fermented malt beverage, Bob.
The controversy came because the wind light out there on the track actually came on Gary Selzy's side of the track. That's why you saw the Team Winston guys celebrating. Corey Mack went out early. Joe couldn't take advantage. Selzy makes a move. Mike Dunn and Jim Head, who did not qualify, round out the top 5. Congratulations again to Mike Thomas, the Pennzoil Pro Stockers, our Mopar high performer of the race, for beating Warren Johnson on the racetrack and for winning his first NHRA Winston Championship event. It has been a great weekend. The area that gave us Mr. Norm and the Chi-Town and Gary Dyer is now giving us the best racetrack on tour. Let's take a look back at history, a look back at the inaugural Fram Route 66 Nationals. ExperienceCountry.com, your personal source for all things country, from race cars to country stars connect to Country.com. Thanks for being with us on TNN Motorsports.